Hello, what it takes to leave a narcissist and why it's so hard, yet how you can leave in just 90 days. So if you want to find out more about that and the detail of that, and by doing that, I'm going to give you an example of a client I've helped to do just that, then stick around. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to use one of my clients, obviously protecting her identity. Okay, but I'm going to give you the example of what I worked through with one of my clients in order to leave a narcissist in just 90 days. So what it takes to leave a narcissist. So just to give you a bit of context about this client, she'd done the work, so she'd done a lot of research. She'd actually worked with me previously on a self-esteem course, but she'd done a lot of work about her background, about why she had low self-esteem, about what narcissism was. She was very aware that her husband was narcissistic. She'd seen the patterns. She could very clearly identify. She was, really well versed in this stuff. Her knowledge was of a really good level. We could have a good conversation about this. She could see the patterns. She tested them. She knew the comebacks that he would have, that he'd put her down, that he'd give her a lecture, really talk down to her, put her in her place, even though she's a successful professional. They've been together 20 years, so this bond was very established, almost, since children, from really young teenagers. It's really, layered, difficult, long-term relationship. 20 years together, they've got kids together. The parents are very traditional and they have a good relationship with the parents, so this cultural, the cultural significance, the shame of leaving, divorce and separate, you just stick together, all that's what I'm saying. And she was very aware of that and found that very difficult. And they were both successful. So from the outside, everything looked good. And it's like, wow, super couple. Not super couple, successful couple. People wouldn't know what was going on behind closed doors. And, she herself was a successful professional. So was he. Everything looked fine on the outside, but she was very much struggling on the inside, had done the work to identify what was really going on behind the closed doors. So what it takes to leave a narcissist. So she knew all this stuff. She knew that he was a narcissist. She knew that she had low self-esteem. She tried to work on it many times, and she'd tried to leave. All right. In fact, she'd left a year previously, and within 6 months was back. So she had failed. She had failed to leave, and it took everything to leave. She said it absolutely did take everything to leave, but it failed. There were so many things that compounded in her that just brought her back. And it was so difficult. All the things I've mentioned, the cultural, the parents, but it's just compounded in your head, and it just. It just brought her back, and she'd failed. The way she left, the way she managed to do it wasn't the best way. She literally left and left a note. And there were things that she looked back on and she knew she did wrong and avoided. She avoided the confrontation. She avoided having the conversations properly, which skitted out, and it backfired on her. Not from him, but from her. It just the guilt that she didn't resolve the issues, and it just brought her back into the family home. She'd tried other coaches. She'd explored other avenues. As I said, we'd worked together a few years before on self-esteem course that I did, and she'd tried some other coaches about narcissism and leave a narcissist, But she found that after, there was a help to a certain point with that coach that she found online on YouTube, and she found me on YouTube. But that coach, she didn't gel with. It was all about the coaches rather than actually, who am I to attract this coach, which is more my approach, which is like, okay, we need to then grow ourselves to be able to separate and, so do the work. And that's what she liked within me. And the other coach didn't help with that. She was very stuck. So she recognized she was really stuck. And as I said, she'd worked with me previously, and she saw something in me that she liked. So what she liked and what it takes to leave a narcissist. She liked that I did a 90-day program to leave a narcissist. And that got her curiosity, because she was in that place to leave. Everything she knew, she'd done the work, she was aware, but she couldn't leave. She was stuck. So it was like, she saw that I did a 90-day program to leave, and it was like, hello, what's this? And that I'd put a guarantee in place so that if you don't get what you want, I will continue to work with you to the point that you get it at my cost. It was like, oh, that's interesting. So the guarantee, there's something, I'm sure about this. And I do it I take you through 3 key steps that I've developed for myself from the 16 years of working on this stuff, the 3 steps, and then coaching through it. And I'll take you through those. I'll literally take you through her journey. And basically, she liked the fact that I was in her pocket in those 90 days. So it was like messaging, open access to messaging. We decided how we were going to work over those 90 days, how many, and it worked out as 2 sessions, or 1 session every fortnight. So 2 in a month, and we jumped on quicker if we needed to, or there was, but there was messaging, and so she liked me being in her pocket. She liked that. So step 1 was a 12 days to decide program. I said, look, take the self-esteem test. She'd taken it before, but it confirmed where she was. Then step 1 was this £47. It was 12 days to decide in which time she, it's a document to go through. It was useful. It was confirming for her. She had done a lot of the work already. So included in that is a conversation with me, a one-to-one conversation with me. And that was the basis of the 90-day going forward. In that, we decided how, she said, yes, she wanted to work with me. And, we put the foundations in place of what this would be. Step 2 is the mother all beliefs. Again, this is the first thing that I take clients through on this journey. It's like getting down to that core belief. And this, and I always use pictures. So it comes out in a metaphor. And she used the metaphor. I just scribble them down and present them later in pictures. So this was her metaphor. And it was just, she was stuck in a shed, and she just couldn't get out. And there was a gate and she couldn't open the gate. And sometimes she'd walked like the previous 6 months when she'd lived alone. She'd taken steps out of that, but then got drawn back into her previous, because of her beliefs. Her beliefs were stuck there. What she believed about herself, that she was only worthy to be this, and what she wanted to be. She wanted to be in a field. That freedom, and that's her. That's her ultimately in the field. And this is what we mapped out for her. She's stuck here. She wants to break through the gate. There's the mother all beliefs is wrapped up in this. I won't say what it is because it's meaningless, because it's not one thing that fits all. It's entirely individual. So this was hers. That was her, the belief that she was stuck and trapped. The bridging belief are the footsteps. There's what I call a bridging belief that you need in order to get to where you want to be, which is like, this is my life in the like alpine field, freedom to her. That's what it represents. And again, we had words for this and phrases, but this encapsulated it. So this was step 2, and she was like fully bought into this, and it was lovely. Step 3 was the detailed big 5 personality profile. This isn't hers. I wouldn't show hers. This is mine, actually. So what it takes to leave, you need to, a narcissist, you need to be aware of your personality profile in depth, okay, to see how your self-esteem and your personal journey through life affects and impacts on your profile. Now, if you don't know the big 5, they're put across. You can see the 5 dimensions, each with 2 supporting traits. So extroversion, neuroticism. Extroversion is kind of how you like to interact with people. I think we understand that from the word. Neuroticism, whether your thinking is and your emotions are predominantly negative about yourself or positive, whether you worry too much. You can see mine there was all right, but that is because I'd done a lot of work up to that point. That reflects for me how much work I'd done on myself. It would have been much higher many years ago. Then the third one, agreeableness. That's down at 4 o'clock down there. Agreeableness. You can see mine is really high on agreeableness. That's quite a feminine trait, and it's unusual for men to be so high on that one. I'm incredibly high on agreeableness. How nice you are, how much of a people pleaser you are, how important that is to be kind. That sensitivity. Very sensitive I am. Conscientiousness, your doing, your activity based, comes as responsibility, and that's the word that I put in there because I think it's a better word. But orderliness, how structured you are. If you're reasonable on that, then you have some structure in your life. You like lists, you stick to them, and it's a guide to help you. People that are really low on that struggle to hold themselves accountable, let alone others. They let people off the hook too easily. They let themselves off the hook too easily. And openness is a bit more of around openness to new ideas, philosophies. It says intelligence. It's not around intelligence. It's around openness to the abstract thinking and creativity. So it measures everything, and it's really important to get a really good understanding. And I love this tool, and I've done training on this tool because on its own, it's like, really detailed report, and it's not done by me. It's all generated online. But understanding it, that takes, once I understand a client, then I can go, that's that. I've seen that. That's how that works out. That's how that comes out in life. Then you understand stuff. Then you've got a much better understanding to go forward. Okay. So from all this, from those 3 key steps, what it takes to leave a narcissist, it's once you've got your metaphor of where she wanted to be, that's her picture that I did for her. I'm very, very visual, very creative in that. It's like, right, what are the 90-day steps that are going to get you to that place? And we have to come up with an action list that fits her, that's achievable, that's both stretching, but aspirational, all fitting in with that bridging belief, the steps that are going to get to, because we can't get in those 90 days, we can't get to that place. That's going to be a few years ahead perhaps, but the action is going to be encapsulated in these 10 steps. It's like, that's when it's getting scary and exciting. So what we did was came up with a list of 10 and refined them through a couple of sessions. Now, what does it take to leave a narcissist? It's then the coaching sessions. So we got those 3 steps out the way, and it's like, right, now we get to work. We roll up the sleeves and we get to work. And I love this bit because this is where we hit the difficulties. And I put in black there, power of metaphors. Okay, so the metaphors, I'm only putting in pictures what she said. And I only put in pictures what the clients have said. I don't suggest, is it like, no. What's it like? And for her, she said, it's like facing a rapids that's torrent, that's going really quickly, and I have to go through it, and I can't. I'll be washed away. And it's like, whoa, yeah, the rapids look and feel real. This was her fear of moving forward. This is what held her back all these years, even though she knew everything that she knew, and she was really well versed in this stuff. So it felt real, and it triggered the fight, flight, or freeze reaction in her. Very physical. Okay, your emotions create actions or stop actions, inhibit actions, stop you taking actions, sabotage yourself. And this is what it was for her. This is how it impacted. And it's like, right, once you see it, you know it. And guess what? The next bit was what it takes to leave a narcissist is, and this is again through the coaching sessions, it's identified. It's like, once you put your stake in the sand, that's kind of looks like a pencil, but that's cool for me. A stake in the sand. When you put your peg in the sand and take action, it becomes real. Once you take action on something, it becomes real. And for her, the fear of the rapids vanishes. So that's an inauthentic fear. And once she started to take an action on it, it was like, it disappears. And again, that was her using the metaphor, not me saying, once you do this, it will do. It was like, So it's coaching somebody, coaching her to get through this, coaching. And this is the important bit, because all the knowledge that I've given in the 3 steps up to this point, it really helps, but it's only knowledge. It's theoretical. When something's theoretical, it's not real. Okay. So you have to take action on this stuff to make it real. And it's like, okay, so to overcome the fear that she had to put the peg in the sand and take action. And then she realized, actually, by stepping forward into the rapids, the rapids disappeared. They weren't real. The fear was compounded that it looked and felt real, but it wasn't. I love that. So what it takes to leave a narcissist, again, in a coaching session, you have to drive. I was saying this to her. You have to drive your bus. You have to be the driver, not the passenger, because subconscious beliefs, your negative subconscious beliefs, and I always point down here like they're so deep in the brain that they're down here. The brain is driving the bus. and you have to consciously override it because you're hardwiring your brain in a new way, a new belief, and that takes conscious effort. It's hard at first. It's like learning to drive. You consciously have to do it and like steer the car and indicate and look at the same time. It's really, but then in a few years you can drive without thinking, and it's like, oh God, I don't even remember how I got here. Actually, I don't remember driving. It becomes so subconscious. So what she and everybody is, when they want to change their lives, they've got to consciously steer their bus, not just let the brain steer their bus of their life in the right direction. And that takes conscious effort. And that's why coaching can be so powerful. But of course, coaching in the right way, somebody that's been through this, that experiences this and knows it. So what else does it take to leave a narcissist? Again, in other coaching sessions, I think this is really, when I saw this, it was like, oh yeah. And these are actual, the pictures from her actual sessions. So I've taken obviously stuff out. When she noticed that she was getting frozen by him, that she'd start a conversation that she needed to have and wanted to have, and she'd start getting frozen in that. It was like over time, by putting the peg in the sand and steering the bus of her life rather than the subconscious brain, the negative aspects of her subconscious brain steering the bus in the old sabotage way, she started to lean forward, and it was like, there, that's it. In our conversation, our Zoom conversation, because she lives overseas, I'm in the UK, she wasn't. She leant forward, and it's like, just a minute, what did you just do then? What did you just think then? That was it. And it was like, yeah. And then she could really connect with, she was fighting back. No, she was starting to say no and push and assert herself. And that was a lovely moment. And it's like, instead of being frozen, scared by the fear that seemed real but isn't, she was leaning forward, leaning into it. And that tipped the balance. I don't know whether you can see that picture, but tipping the balance rather than being frozen, it tips the balance to wanting to have a conversation. That was her leaning forward. And then her taking action subsequent to that. And it was like, I am going to assert myself. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that's not acceptable to him. And that was the dawn of a new era. Oh, makes me emotional. I love this stuff. Again, see my personality profile if you go back, or just remember, it's so high on the agreeableness, which is the compassion side. My compassion is ding, ding, ding through the roof. It makes me emotional, this stuff. So that was a key moment for her, and it was lovely. And another session, what it takes to leave a narcissist, another coaching session. We got to where she wanted to be, and on her journey, because she was taking those steps, she was getting closer to it. It was a lovely, lovely thing. I adored this journey and helping somebody on that journey. You need to think, and this came again from her and me pulling this out of her and coaching this out of her, and it's lovely. So she needs to think, growth is uncomfortable. Okay, to grow, it's uncomfortable. It has to be subconscious. You have to be steering the bus, rather than the subconscious part of the brain, because the subconscious part of the brain keeps her small and frozen, making that rapid seem and feel real, getting her frozen. That's her frozen on an ice cube. But for her, she said, it keeps me small. I said, what's the impact of that? It keeps me small. And I said, fuck small. And she loved that. She said, fuck small. Yes. And excuse me for swearing, but YouTube, but fuck small. And it was like that energy rising up in her, again with that assertion, again with that peg in the sand, again with that tipping point, taking action. And again, this is why the coaching sessions are so key. I can't just give you some information and you'll leave in 90 days. No, this is what it takes to leave a narcissist. Okay. Another coaching session. This is one I use with many clients. She was talking about the emotions going up and down, and that's absolutely normal. But what, I use the analogy, and one I gave her was the metaphor of, or analogy of like being in a lift. You're going up with the emotions, like other people are pressing the button, ding, 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 4th floor, 5th, 7th floor, 18th floor, going up and down. She said, I'm exhausted by it. So I said, get off the elevator. What floor do you want to go on? Bing, you press that button. When the doors open, you get off the floor and get off on that floor. When the elevator goes up and down, people can press the buttons all they fucking like. You're staying on your floor. And it was like that control. It was like, and for some, I've had some clients that have just got something out of that. And that's been enough for them. And it's like, that served them in their life. Not that it's fixed them, but they've really hung on to that. And just being able to go, just a minute, I don't need to go up and down, but this is exhausting. Ping. I'm going to get off at this floor, and that my emotions will stay the same, even though people are trying to press buttons and the elevator goes up and down. Does that make sense? Is that useful for you? Right. What it takes to leave a narcissist. Another coaching session. This is towards the end of the 90 days. She was saying that if, at the beginning, she was so weighed down and actually through it, trying to take action, trying to, being frozen by fear, pushing herself forward, leaning forward, noticing, taking action, wanting to have the conversation, all this stuff weighed down on it, caused her stress. She could have easily given up. But because she'd bought into this 90 days, this 90-day coaching session with me, she was bought into it. She knew she was supported. I was in her pocket. This was her last chance. She knew this was her last chance. She had left before it failed. She was consigned to the rest of her life. She knew that. She was so weighed down. And I've put there, I'm not sure if you can read it, needing to walk on eggshells. She said she needed to walk on eggshells around, and she hated it. Weighed down by everything, the weight of all this knowledge, awareness that it was narcissism and he was abusing her, and this is how her life was going to go. But by now she was starting to feel lighter, and she chucked that weight off her. Just a lovely thing to notice in the client. So what results? What results did she get? So she exceeded her expectations by far. Interestingly, she recouped the money that she'd invested in me, because it's not cheap. It's not the cheapest coaching you can get, but it's only for 90 days. She recouped that money because she in quite a short period, because once she'd changed her routine, she could earn more. It gave her freedom to actually earn more. And she'd recouped that money that she invested with me relatively quickly. She was financially secure because she was ready to leave, and leave with nothing. She just needed that freedom. However, what she put in place was actually negotiating for a fair settlement. She would have just left that. She would have just gone. So she found herself financially secure. The 90 days, we didn't get done because we went over Christmas. We didn't get done in the 90 days. So my guarantee was there, and I gave, we took an extra month at my cost and got her everything that she needed in that next month. So she had 1 month completely free, but she only paid for 90 days. And she is now where she wanted to be, and so much more. Remember that picture of the field? She was trapped in the stable, the gate. She was trapped in there. She couldn't get through the gate, and when she did, she went back. She took the steps, and she was taking those steps still, but she wanted to be in the field. Interesting. Again, I love this. Instead of saying just being in the field, she started to see more opportunities and possibilities for herself and her life, more than she ever thought was possible at that time, because once she was starting to realize that, and realize that she could assert herself and say no and be disagreeable when she needed to be disagreeable and stand up for herself, that she could see more for herself, more opportunities in her life, more positivity, more worth, more fulfillment. And that was a lovely thing to hear. So that was just a gorgeous thing. So she got way more than she expected. So there we go. I've shown you on it. I hope it's been interesting to take. I've taken quite a bit of time, but thank you if you've stuck out this far. That's what it takes to leave a narcissist, and why it's so hard. Yet, how to leave in just 90 days. Obviously with my coaching, and that's not something that's, it's a small thing. So if you want to work with me, let me just show. It starts with taking the self-esteem test. Maybe you've taken it already. You should have taken it quite a few years ago, and it was really quick. The link's in the description. It's really easy. It's completely confidential. I don't see it or anything like that. 18 or more, you probably don't need me. Between 15 and 18, you probably won't need much work. Much more to get to a healthy level of self-esteem. 15 or lower, then that's indicating that you've got lower self-esteem. Again, this is a really quick, it's not a reliable test. It's not a strong test. It's only 10 questions. It can't be. However, the full personality profile, that absolutely brings it out as well. But for a starting point of the conversation, this is a really nice test to do. Then step one is the 12 day. If you want to work with me, it always starts in the same way. 12 days to decide. It's only £47. You get a guarantee with that. If you don't get what you want out of the 12 days, I'll give you your money back. It's really easy. Also, it's a way that we can test what it's like to work together, whether we're suitable together, whether my style of working suits you, and vice versa. Whether you're going to put the work in, because I can't work with people, I can't make you work. So if you're ready to work and you like my style and there's good connection there, then we get to test that out in the 12 days. Only £47, and you get one-to-one time with me. All right. It gives you clarity of your situation and what you need to change to be where you want to be in life rather than where you're stuck. But it also pinpoints where you're stuck and why. So it's a really valuable thing to do. Lots of documentation, video support in that one, as in a few videos to watch. And that's it. And from then, if you want to, we talk about the 90 days and what it would be for you and how we could make it work. And we can put payment plans in place and all that sort of thing as well, but find out the price at that point. Okay, thank you very much for sticking around that long. I hope that's been useful. I hope that's been interesting in terms of what it takes to leave a narcissist and why it's so hard, because she left, even though she knew she was a professional, intelligent lady. And she knew all of this stuff, yet she still could not leave. And she tried with another coach. It's really tricky stuff. So there we go. I hope that's been interesting. If you found this interesting, please consider subscribing, consider liking, engaging. Ask me questions on this. Really help in terms of getting this to other people and helping me raise the awareness of this massive issue. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you have an awesome rest of the day. All right. Bye-bye.